What is up again, folks? I am back with yet another draft. This time we have a SuperFlex league, 2 QBs, and a whole bunch of spots to fill, 21 to be specific. The good thing here is that we have budget to fill those spots, and we have 12 teams. All right, so this is a 12-team league. Roster spots are roughly 21 players per roster. We have a super flex spot that takes a QB, so that's where the 2 QB super flex comes from. And then we have 2 additional flexes, 2 running backs, 4 wide receiver spots, right? I think this is similar to a league you've seen me do. This is one of my leagues. I am forcing teams to draft wide receivers, right? And not just punt the position. And so 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flexes, roughly 2 QBs, let's just say 3 flexes with a QB spot in one of them. So I'm looking forward to the draft here. You know the drill. The last time I did this format, I drafted my QBs way too early. I paid for Patrick Mahomes almost 40. I paid for Brock Purdy in the 20 range. Today I'm going to focus on building my roster and then wait for QB later, right? Because in that draft, someone paid roughly 13 for Caleb. So I want to be playing in the 20 range when it comes to QBs. And so let's get this started. So the budget here is so the budget for this one is 250, similar to ones I did before. So teams have the discretion to spend that money however they see fit. If you want to spend that money on Jamar Chase and a few top 10 players, by all means, that's your choice. That is the beauty of salary cap. It gives you that flexibility to get the players you want, and the players you want, and you wouldn't be able to get otherwise if you were in say snake draft, right? You got your draft position. That player is usually not around when you come back, but you can spend that money however you see fit. Jamar Chase just went off the board for $63. So yes, we are off and running. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds. My goal is to be a little bit more patient this time around and see what happens. But yeah, super excited to bring this one to you. One of the things I'm noticing is that QBs are going really cheap. The top QBs have mostly gone off the board. Let's look at the draft board here. We have Hurts to me for 37. We have Josh Allen for 41, and then we have Daniels and Bo Nix for 30 for this amount. So he's got his QBs, and then we've got Dak Prescott's going off the board. And so it seems like the pricing here is going to be reasonable. We also have Daniel Jones off the board, and so we're just getting started here, but like the QBs are flying off the board. I just wanted to make sure I got one. Obviously, I overpaid given the other prices here. I'll say I didn't want to go in on Josh Allen as well, but I was this close to doing it. I was in on Dak, but there's still a ton of QBs left. I may nominate one here just to see Lamar, see what Lamar goes for, and if I can instead of going with Lamar, maybe I just see if I can get someone else at a lower price point. I don't know. Let's see what he goes for. So 37, like Jalen Hurts. Okay. So hit here's got a QB, he's got Barkley and Jamar Chase. And for all intents and purposes, let's see, he's got 89 left, right? Steal, but it's gonna cost you later. So I got one of the top 4 QBs. I'm just gonna pair him up with another QB, and perhaps what I'm going to try and do here is just try and get my QBs now and sit down and just wait. I mean, I was expecting QB prices to be astronomical in this league. Perhaps they will be astronomical later, maybe not now, because everyone still has money and everyone still has options on the board. I mean, this team's got Daniel Jones for 6. If that's how he's rolling, hey, that's not a bad strategy, right? He's got Daniel Jones, get one more QB, call it a day, and then spend the rest of that money on like the other positions like wide receiver you want to fill. And so once I get the wide receiver spots, the running back spots, once I get the QB spots filled, I would then start to just chip away at the other positions here. So let's see what happens as we go along here. Alrighty. We are roughly 30 minutes into the draft. This is what we have thus far. Most teams have at least one QB. Seems like some folks have fallen asleep. I mean, Joey's team here is made of good, I mean, in case in point, in a snake draft, there is no chance, almost zero probability that you get all of these players, right? The difference is in a draft like this, in salary cap drafts, you can get all of these players. I mean, his budget's completely done, but you can get all of these players. And I mean, unfortunately, this is a 2 QB league, and so Joey's gonna have to probably trade 1 or 2 of these players to get a QB, but that's doable, right? And I think he may have fallen asleep or may have set his roster like, I'm not sure what's going on there, but just so you know, most teams have some level of QB, and the QBs are starting to go in like that 20 range. And so I was again a little bit on the higher end of QBs, so it happens, right? But I've got Hurts and Purdy, and I've got Pearsall. Yeah, somehow I keep just going after Pearsall. Someone has to catch passes in that offense, and for 18, given the budget, given the positions we have to fill, I'm just trying to aim right now for players between like that 15 to 20 plus bucket, and not really playing like that 30 plus bucket. We'll see what happens as the running backs start to come off the board. I mean, the second tier running backs, we still have a ton of those type of running backs on the board. But yes, this is what everyone's team looks like thus far. And this is what the budget looks like for each team, right? So you have teams that are here who spend their budgets on 4 players, right? I mean, they've got QBs, but yes, that's what they've got, right? And at least if all else fails in these leagues, get your QBs. That'll be my advice. And worry about the rest later. And so that's what I try to do. Now I'm just going to sit back and let the other teams kind of figure it out from a QB standpoint. I'm going to just try to get like these type of players, in this, 20 range. And he's being very aggressive. So you just have to draw the line on how far you want to go on certain players, and go from there. This guy's trying to maybe do a stack of. Yeah, he was trying to do a stack of those players, but all good things. I'd rather pay 26 than 30 plus for some players, but you just have to know the players you want on your team. And again, we all do have rankings. So it'll be interesting to see basically how different managers in the league view different players and how they're investing in them. So this is fun thus far for me. I just have my QBs now. I can just worry about filling my positions. What I'm going to try and do is go really heavy up on running backs, get another wide receiver, and then hopefully wait for the bargain bin when we are all picking players in like the $10 range. We'll see if that plan works. There's no guarantees, but we shall see. It is roughly an hour, 8-9 minutes into the draft. Most teams have got a group of players. I was lucky I got away with Deebo Samuel for $4. I spent on Kyron, so I still need to go after running back. My running back position is very suspect as we speak. I need to be in on Ken Williams. Yes, I need to go in a running back, and I've got my QB position handled. I went as far as getting an extra QB in Tua for $10 roughly. So I think that's good value for Tua. Just to have 3 QBs. Not that I need it, but you never know, injuries happen, and it's always good to have a backup. Now the running back is thinning out, and so there is competition. Everyone's trying to outbid you. I wish I, it's always like the chicken and the egg situation. Do you want to spend now or do you want to spend later? And so I'm just trying to get players here as much as I can. I've got Ken Williams. Let's see if I can get Kamara as well. Probably not going to be possible. But for the most part, my roster is pretty balanced. I've got 3 wide receivers that are serviceable. I've got 2 running backs. I've got 3 QBs. If I can add Kamara, it gives me an additional player in the running back spot. And then I'm just going to have to sit and wait because this is getting too much for my taste. Good. So I was persistent enough. And so I've got Kyron, I've got Ken Walker, I've got Kamara. In my wide receiver spots, I've got JXN, I've got Deebo, and Ricky Pearsall. And so I'm going to be sitting for a while on 40, right? Maybe I try to pick up another running back for sure. Try to hit the button. Any QB you can pick up a bargain is good in these leagues because you can always trade them, right? When people get hurt, you can trade these QB. But given that this is like a 12-team league, I expect, that you'll be able to pick up backups on the waiver wire. I don't want to like waste my money like that now that I've got Tua as my backup. Probably take two. Now that I've got Tua as my backup, I no longer need to spend that much on QB. So later in the draft, if a QB happens to say fall to me for cheaper, I'll pick him up. But for now, I am just going to operate as is in terms of these three QBs would be good. Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, I don't expect to come off the field, and Tua. Should I? I can wait for another running back and see if I can get someone else cheap just to balance this out. I like my running backs, but it'll be cool to get maybe Dave Montgomery for maybe 14 or something like that rather than 24. At this point, I have to be more, how do you say, frugal in my allocations. I still need to fill a wide receiver spot, and I feel like I can do that later. My bench is going to be very thin, but at that point, we are all going to be playing in the bargain bin, so there is no need to be shy here. And if it goes, okay, well, then hey, I may just sit this one out and see what happens here. But again, this is how the draft goes. You have to be willing to allocate else in place L take two. Again, this is how the draft goes. You have to be able to allocate your money how you see fit. And I could have done that, but I feel like there's just so much more. There are so many more running backs on the board that this has bit me before, right? By saying there's so many more running backs on the board, and then you look up and then there's no one. And so I've got three of them. I can let other people bid and get running backs, but I do want one more running back, and then I can maybe find like a cheap wide receiver to just kind of throw in my wide receiver, in my fourth wide receiver spot here, and look for bench players. But that is where we are. Really looking forward to seeing how my team stacks up. And if you want to look at it in terms of just the team, this is what it looks like. I've got Hurts, Pearsall, Debo, JSN, Kyron Williams, Ken Walker, Alvin Kamara. All right. And I feel like Kamara was a bargain given what I see Chuba go for. So this is the game where you got to figure out how to allocate your resources and where you want to allocate them. If I can get one more running back, I can just sit back and wait to like the bargain bin players and just see what I can do, because there's so many teams here with money that I can't compete per se for as much quality as possible. Now the question becomes, where do I want to allocate that money? Do I want to go to running back or do I want to go to wide receivers? I feel like I can maybe get cheaper wide receivers at low price points later just to round out my roster, but I do not want to be left holding the bag on running back. So I may just try to go running back, and if I can't, I will just try to go wide receiver, because there's still a ton of wide receivers on the board. In terms of my rankings, I've got players up there that are next up who I believe should be next up in the rankings. The rest of them have gone. Maybe we're starting to look at Eckler now, DeAndre Swifts of the world, Stevenson, Pollard. Maybe Pollard is a player I can go in on because he's got that backfield to himself, and hopefully I can get away with Pollard for cheaper. But you never know, right? But you try. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how the draft plays out. Definitely more to come on my roster. Meaning 1 hour, 30 minutes into the draft. We still have some good players on the board from the wide receiver position. J. Moles going right now. Running back, we still have Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Tracy, and those guys here. QB position is it still value here. It's still thin. It's thin, but still value here. And I think I need one more wide receivers, and I will spend up on Travis Hunter if I can. And yeah, I'm just biding my time and letting the draft come to me at this point. I don't have the most budget, but it doesn't hurt to try. Sometimes you have to pay up because most teams just have more money than you. Like in this exact scenario, like let's see what he has in terms of wide receivers. So he can fill his wide receivers. Good. That's okay. And now we have similar budgets, and there's still plenty of wide receivers left on the board, right? So I'm not going to kill myself trying to get, trying to go out of the ordinary. I mean, Travis Hunter will be good. I should spend up for him, but at the same time, I'm not trying to handicap myself. And this is what I'm saying. That hurts to do it, but let's see if I just want to share of Warren and see what that looks like. I've not drafted not one share of Warren this year, and I hear good things. So take a flyer. Let's look at where we stand in terms of my team. Again, I still have wide receiver to fill. I was able to get Romandre for $4. I'll take it, right? Purdy for 9, Warren for 8. I need to fill that wide receiver spot, but I can't be too eager, right? So I have to find a way to fill that wide receiver spot, or get an additional running back. But I have $29, so again, how you draft matters at this point of the draft. So you can't go after every single player that comes up. You have to kind of be strategic, go for players that maybe people are not going to bid on a lot at this point, and just get some bodies on your team. All right, folks. Just checking in again. We are at an hour 45 minutes into this draft. And let's see what I've done since we last spoke. I've picked up, I believe, Jordan Mason for 11 and Juwan Jennings for 7. Right, that's where I went. With the remainder of my funds, I was able to pick up Ramondre Stevenson for $4, which I think is a good pickup. And let's see here. The rest of the league has been dabbling. I mean, we have some teams here with very little in terms of roster. I mean, this team has 4 players, but it might be one of the bots, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's not a bot. He just spent his money on these players, and he's left with very little to spend in terms of money. I believe this is his maximum bid at this point is $11. Overall budget is $26. But if I'm not mistaken, looking down here, he is spent on roughly $100 on his running back position, and then he went really wild on his wide receiver. So this is what happens when people maybe who haven't played in salary cap, or this is irrespective of salary cap drafts, the league is set up in a specific way. It clearly says SuperFlex, 2 QBs. This guy is here. I understand if someone didn't show up to the draft, and the bots are picking for them, right? That's a completely different scenario. He's here and he's capable of picking his players. And he still chose to spend all of his money on these positions as opposed to getting just even getting one QB, cutting down on one of these positions and getting a QB would have been really beneficial for him. But to each his own. And then we have some teams that are like, bot driven, meaning that the players, the managers didn't show up to draft, and so their teams are being basically selected for them. We also have teams like this squad. He's got his QBs, he's got running back is gonna be poor for him, but he went again. He went really. He went on Saquon after Saquon and got Saquon for a hefty price, and then he spent on Jamar Chase as well. And so beauty, right? Lamar Jackson and then Patrick Mahomes. But now he's sitting with $47, which is not bad. He's just gonna outbid us all towards the end of the draft here, but he's missing really key positions that he needs to fill. And so this is what happens in the draft. So you just have to be able to navigate these dynamics and focus on what you are doing and not what the rest of the league is doing. And that's what I did. I just try to focus on, hey, when I see a value, take that value now instead of waiting for a magical player. And I mean, I have Tyron Tracy really high on my board, but after I drafted Mason for 11, Tyron Tracy went for 11. I could have picked up Tracy instead of Mason, but again, you can always predict what is going to happen. You can kind of, you can kind of hope and kind of surmise a bit here that as the draft goes on, this is what I'm likely to see, but you can't bank on that 100%. In these type of formats, the draft can change really quickly for you. You can have the best plan. Everything can be going according to plan, and then like someone with the most money just decides, okay, this is the time, and there's a lot of factors that can come into play here. So when you have those values, take them. As I'm watching players go off the board here, and the only player I can afford is player that's like $4 or lower, right? And so I'm just going to wait and see if no one bids. I'll bid $1 and see if I can get that player. If someone bids, then I'm out. So that's what happens. I spent my money up front, and this is the team I was able to put together, right? I even have drafted a kicker. I think I drafted a kicker. Yes, I've drafted my kicker position. I'm not sure if I'm going to go after a defense tonight, but we will see, right? It depends on what's there for me and who's there for me. If I have to take a flyer on a player, I'll do that rather than take a kicker. In defense, I can always drop that player before game time and go from there. But yes, this is what I've been able to do thus far. I think this team is solid enough to compete in this league. I don't know if it's like a championship team per se, but I think I definitely need wide receivers. Like, that is not a question. I need a ton of depth of wide receivers on my bench. So I'll see what happens. Maybe once we get into the bargain bins, I can then use my quote unquote research that I've done to say, okay, like these are the players that are here, and pick them up for $1 and just stash as many valuable players on my bench to see what happens later. So yeah, that is what's going on. I will check in with you again, but this is what the draft results look like for now. And the teams that didn't get a QB are now getting QBs. I mean, teams that didn't get running backs earlier are now going after the second tier running backs. And so, yes. Let's look at the draft results. And just different team constructions, right? To each his own. McCluskey Merritt, I cannot afford him. Will not be able to afford him. Someone's going to bid more. Here we go. And yeah, so there's this team that has, wow, that's good. Man. Oh, I need to select a player. Give me a second. But yeah, so nominate a player and see if that player, there we go. At this point, I'm not fighting it. I'm nominating players that I know I probably am not going to end up with, and that's okay. Just to get those players out there. The players I actually want, I'm not nominating at this point. If someone nominates them, that's fine. But I'm just going to sit back and hopefully, like, the rest of the league drafts their team, and then they get to this point where they're like, oh, okay, this player is still here. And that's where I want to be with my dollar per player budget. All right, folks. Yeah, this what's happening. This is almost 2 hours into this draft, and so yeah, I'm sticking around, trying to make it work here, trying to round out this roster. But looking forward to seeing like the team I end up with. All right. We are in the bargain bin area of the draft. And at this point, I've got 3 bench spots to fill. And yeah, I have $1 per player. We are almost done here. It is 2 hours 11 minutes into this draft. Since we last spoke, I've picked up Cedric Tillman. I've picked up Jerome Ford. How they let me get Jerome Ford, I don't know. And I've picked up Wan'Dale Robinson as well for $1. All right, and this is where your research comes in. If you've done it, or like this is where your research comes in essentially. I think Wan'Dale is going to be a really good player, especially when Jackson Dart takes over. I see teams here, they don't want, they're being coy. They don't have QBs. There's Spencer Rattler and Jackson Dart available, and they're waiting for these big dogs to leave, the guys with money, and so they can pick up cheap QBs. I will throw a flyer on Dart when my next pick comes up, because most of these teams are almost done. If someone outbids me, that's fine, but I think at the midpoint of the year, he can end up being, the QB there, right? So, super fun draft, and still more to go. Got Mario Douglas here, and I can pick him up. I mean, like, Ertz is still here. I mean, there's so many great players right now that you can just stack your benches with these players. And also, this is a 12-team league, so you're going to have a lot of depth left over. And so, like, the teams with not many players are those teams that are going to just fill up on those players that we all leave behind. I'm looking at this team right here. I'm looking at this team right here, and yeah, so it's gonna be fun. Long night for them, but at this rate it goes faster because no one's really bugging you down with bidding. I'm just waiting for this one team to leave so I can just pick the players I want, because at that rate, the only person that can outbid me is this team. That's okay. He needs other positions. If he wants to outbid me, that's also fine. But yeah, I think I did good given like the circumstance and the type of players that were available. Picking up Tillman and Robinson just to bolster my wide receiver depth is key. I can always throw them in on a bye week or something if someone gets hurt. That's also the case. And right now, let me get Jackson Dart up here. I can carry 4 QBs, right? And We'll see. So that's 3 more players I can draft, including a defense, or 2 bench and a defense spot. I just didn't want Jackson Dart to go to the teams that spend their money early, and basically you spend your money early, you get all the top players, you can come back around in the draft and pick up that value. This, it's principle. So I know Left Foot here was just looking for to pick up Dart and QBs like that. I just got him big time. Hey, you can trade me someone. You can trade me Rashad White, Gordon, or someone for Dart. I don't mind. Or I can trade Dart to one of these teams without QBs. And that's the fun part of like the league, right? Like you pick up QBs, everyone has is a barter system. Everyone has some sort of value they want to trade, and so we can work it out. But at this rate, I'm just going to try to pick up Corum if he gets back to me, and Leggett. Both of them, if I can walk away with. He still got Rattler. Like Thomas still got Rattler to pick up. If he was smart, he'd pick up Rattler right now. And just be over with it. If someone outbids you, they outbid you. You can't be scared. And then I need at least one of these guys, at least 2 of these players, right? Corum, Leggett, Johnston. And worst case, if they are all gone, I would just pick up Rattler and call it a day. Because then I've got 4 QBs. I can trade Dart and Rattler as a package to someone for someone. And then we should be good. But yeah, this is how the draft is unfolding for me. Let me pull my team up. I'm over here with the rest of the folks. Dart, let's just stash him. Wait to see what happens throughout the season. Worst case, I don't pick up a defense and just roll with the team as is, and then like I can make a trade maybe before the season starts and offload Dart or someone else or Tua for a player, and just keep Dart right as my backup. But yeah, I'm liking this draft thus far. I don't have much in terms of wide receiver depth, but I've got good depth on running backs, and I'm super excited about how this one turned out. I could have gone a number of ways. I'm tired. I think we are all tired. It's a Thursday night, and so just trying to like, I was going to push this draft earlier on. I was going to push this draft, and yeah, and then it filled up at the last minute, and so. At this point of the draft, if you can pick up your backups, I know there are still teams with money. If anyone wants to outbid me, they can go ahead. But I picked up Kyren Williams, so having Blake Corum, I think, gives me 1 layer of security. And on the next time around, I maybe go with Leggett or Johnston. It really don't matter to me. In worst case, if both of them are gone, I'll just go QB here, because I have 1 more spot to fill, I believe, and then my defense. But I can pick up 2 players, and worst case, I can drop one of them in favor of a defense when the season starts. But I'm anticipating some trades, especially sending Tua over to another team and getting back some sort of value. But again, I think overall it was a good draft. You still have players here. You have players like Kareem Hunt. These are the type of players you want later on in the draft. These are the type of players you want to pick up, right? We have Chris Rodriguez here, Woody Marks, Will Shipley. Just pick up if you are one of these teams with that needs to fill your roster, just pick up as many of these guys as possible, right? Just throw a bunch of them on your benches and just go from there, because we know that injuries happen and there's a higher probability that someone's going to get hurt. And so you always have someone there to you always have the backup instead of like scrambling to the waiver wire to pick up that player. So that's why at least I like to get, there you go. As I'm speaking, someone's picking up Will Shipley just as a backup to Saquon Barkley. And it even makes sense if he has Saquon. No, he does not have Saquon. But it's still really a really good plan. He's got like these dart throws. He's got 3 tight ends. Oh my gosh. Okay, I know who to go to for tight ends. Oh, Dylan Gabriel. Good one. Good one. So yeah, especially in the SuperFlex league, these are the names you want to pick up now and just see what happens, right? Just see what happens. Worst case, you're dropping a player when the season starts to get your kicker and your defense. So that means that I'm probably not going to draft a defense tonight. I'm probably just going to leave that spot open and pick up 2 wide receivers because I'm really low on wide receivers. And I believe that if I just got sniped by the bot. All right, so one pick away. I would just throw a dart on Johnston. You never know. I mean, we didn't expect much from him last year, and he still performed. So I'll go that route, see what happens. Or I could have gone Kareem Hunt as well, but it is what it is. Still got 1 spot, so I can throw Kareem Hunt here and go from there. But yeah, guys, this is what this draft looks like. Oh, Tyler Shugg. But Rattler is the guy, right, in New Orleans. So I'm not sure there. But yeah, he's got Penix and oh my God. Do not leave your draft at this time. This guy was here the entire time, and then he left now. I'm sure he had to go to bed or something, but you could have picked up Rattler, for example, and made it, just create a scenario where, hey, at least you have a QB, right? In these SuperFlex leagues, it's so important to have some level of QB. Like, you may not have the best QBs, but any level of QB is better than none. At least that's my opinion. And so when this comes back around, I'm going to pick up Spencer Rattler if he makes it back to me, and then see what I can work on the trade market with the rest of the league. But I'm 1 player away, and we are out of here. And so thank you for watching. I think one of the big lessons I learned in this one is, because I've done this one, a similar format in the past few days, I was a little bit more relaxed on my approach. I went after my QBs early, solidified that position with guys I know are probably not going to be coming off the field. And then I went after some cheap wide receivers. And then I got my running backs. And running backs, I went in that mid-tier of running backs and got them. And then, towards the end, I just kind of sat back and picked up value where I could. But it's just, I had a better expectation of how this would go this time around than the first time around. And so I think it went great. I could have changed a few things here and there. I didn't think it was stressful. I really enjoyed my time. And I think players went where they were supposed to go. And as I say that, let's pick up Spencer Rattler here. Let's see if we can get away with it. Well, there's only 1 person who can outbid me. And if he wants to, he can. But that is it. team is drafted. Let's look at the 4 team here. The entire team consists of Jalen Hurts, Ricky Pearsall, Deebo Samuel, who I magically got for $4 because I think people were not paying attention, or I just don't know. JSN, Juwan Jennings. I've got both of those 49er wide receivers. If both of them pan out, I'm good. If one of them pans out, I'm good. For the price I got both of them at, I think I'm doing good. Kyren Williams, and then Ken Walker, and Kamara, and Ramondre Stevenson. If anything happens to Henderson, and I know in college Henderson was often hurt, and that's why it was like a good pairing between Henderson and Judkins, and that worked really well, kept him healthy. We've got his backup there. I got Purdy, I've got Tua, I've got Jordan Mason, I've got Cedric Tillman. So like these are just Jerome Ford. I don't know what's happening in Cleveland this year, but that could be a starting running back for the price of 4. Wandale, I believe, is going to shine once Dart takes over. Blake Corum, just a backup. I heard something about Blake Corum being more involved this year, and then splitting work with Kyren Williams. So I wanted to make sure I left the draft with Corum. Then we have Quentin Johnston. These are just dart throws at this point. And then Spencer Rattler. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 QBs. My goal here is to trade a bundle of these QBs to one of these QB needy teams, right? So I'll just package maybe Spencer Rattler and Tua and go get maybe a wide receiver. And then I can just have Dart as my backup. And so I think that's a good plan. But yeah, again, not too much to learn from this one. I've been doing so many of these now that I know what to expect. My teams are getting better as the season goes on. Yeah, but I'm sure everyone has an opinion as to what I could do better, right? So if you see this, let me know in the comments what I could have done better. Do you think my strategy was sound? Do you think I waited? Would you have gone after these, top 10 players? I'm just usually looking to make sure my team is as balanced as possible. Do you think I walked away with a team that's balanced, that is balanced and how do you say? It's not high-end players, but it's mid-tier players that I feel like when someone gets hurt, I can always put someone in to fill that gap. I think what I try to avoid is the team that's built on just a few players. And when a player gets hurt, it's really difficult to replace them. But I hope you enjoy this one. Leave a comment below. Tell me how I did. Like, subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.